Are you sick and tired of your friends making fun of you every time you drop your scooter? Are you sick of your scooter sounding like a sack of potatoes every time you drop it? If so, this may be the video for you. We will turn your SCS scooter from this to this. What's up everyone, I'm Anton Robinson, welcome back to Scooter Hacks, and today I'm going to be showing you how to tighten your SCS scooter. Now if you know me, you know SCS is my favourite type of compression. I've been riding SCS for probably about 4 or 5 years now, but today I'm going to be explaining how to keep it tight, what to do if it keeps loosening, why that would be, as well as tightening up the other parts of the scooter that make your scooter not sound great. So that being the front wheel and the back wheel, and if you're riding a brake or a fender, that might also be the case. So first things first, you're going to need a 5 Allen key or a 6 Allen key. So in my case I've got 5 here, but some SCSs such as the more modern Protos and the Tilts, they all use 6mm. Now if you've not bought your SCS yet and you're just watching this video to work out how to tighten one up, then I would definitely recommend getting one with a 6mm Allen bolt, just because it's a bit stronger and better when it comes to tightening up, and there's more chances it won't loosen. The next thing you're gonna need is, if your brake's loose, then again you'll either need a 4mm, which is one slightly smaller, or some brakes have a 5 or even a 6. That depends from deck to deck, because there isn't just a bulk standard when it comes to scooters. So yeah, that's that. The other thing you may need, which I don't, is a 13mm spanner, depending on which forks you're riding and all of that. A lot of the forks nowadays include like something to hold the bolt in. It's kind of being phased out at the moment, so a lot of parts only require you to use one tool, which in my opinion is a lot better, but at the same time it's quite fun being able to use two sides. So yeah, so with that being said, I'll go over the different issues, kind of what it can be and how to fix it. But most of the time when your scooter sounds bad, it will be those 3 things that I've said. It'll either be the headset, which is controlled by the SCS, it will be the front wheel being loose, or the back wheel being loose. And the longer you're riding, the more easily you'll be able to differentiate what each noise means. So me, for example, just by hearing that, I know that my front wheel's tight, my back wheel's tight, and the only place the problem is in the headset, so I just need to tighten that up. So yeah, so if your scooter's sounding bad, first thing to do is just drop it, give the things a bit of a move. If your back wheel's loose, it normally moves a bit, same with your brake, and also the same with your front wheel. So just to identify what the problem is, just work it out. If not, if you don't want to do that step, then just tighten everything up. That's something I'll also recommend. But yeah, let's get undoing. So in my opinion, there really isn't any preference with the way you undo your scooter. Some people say it has to be in a specific order. I generally loosen downwards and tighten downwards, just because it's easy and I've never had any problems. Other people would probably say that the best way to do it is to do it in the opposite direction. If I remember, like, what they're trying to say is, if you tighten downwards, then loosen upwards. It kind of makes sense, but again, I've been riding for 10 years, never had a problem. The only problem is that sometimes when you do get to the bottom one on this first turn, it's a lot tighter than the rest. But yeah, just freaking stick something on there or work out a way to do it and you should be fine. So for those of you that don't know, the SCS is all controlled by this bolt on the inside. So when you have any problems, you always want to resort to this bolt. If your forks are too long for your SCS, then you'll find a point that the top cap will touch the top of the forks, and when that happens you won't be able to tighten your scooter enough. So no matter how tight you have it, it will always have a bit of wobble because there's essentially no space for it to compress. The reason compress is called compression is because it is literally compressing. So if this part is touching this part, then there's no area of tension to draw this part down to keep the headset tight. So if you don't kind of get why your scooter's working, essentially that's the principle of every compression. So obviously ICS does the same thing, the IHC does the same thing, HIC does, and even your threaded beginner forks, they also compress. That's essentially the whole motive, so the bearing doesn't move forward and backwards. That's what wobble is. I've now loosened my scooter and it feels pretty tight. The way that I tighten my headset is I kind of, even when I'm tightening it, I loosen it to the point where it's definitely wobbling and I can feel it wobbling, and then I just tighten it up bit by bit until I feel that it's not gonna move, but at the same time it's not too tight, because I kind of like mine in the sweet spot, which is where it's just not, it's kind of about there in my case. You don't want it like, I mean maybe you do, but see there, for me it's kind of making some weird noises. I don't really like that, so I have it a bit looser where it can still spin and yet it's tight at the same time. If your SCS is continuously loosening and you have no idea why, then what I would recommend is something that I recommend to a lot of my friends, and in my opinion it's one of the best scooter life hacks that there is. This life hack actually inspired me to name my channel this way. It's kind of taken from plumbing with a bit of a DIY approach to it, and what it is to put, I'm in a bit of a weird angle by the way, so this is kind of hard. So the reason I think that a lot of scooters loosen is because there's a little bit of like leeway here, so it's not completely tight. What I do is I get your masking tape, which is the tape that you use when painting, that's kind of, it feels quite papery, it feels like paper, and it's normally a light brown color, like a kind of beige. And what you're to do is put just one layer around until it just starts coming over itself. So you don't want to just do that, because then what will happen is it will over tighten and not work. So you just want one layer until it just covers it and goes a little bit further to about there. Rip it off and kind of push it in. I normally use my nails. Then I leave that bit as it is without being compressed, but then from this bit down I turn it with my nails so it just kind of fits in the hole. So you see how it's my fingers acting like a bolt here. So you just kind of do that, and then then just plop it back in, and 9 times out of 10 it will solve the problem. So if all else fails, if you're clicking on this video because you don't know why your SCS is loosening, give that a go and let me know down below. Now that I've got that out of the way, we're going to get back to putting the scooter back together. Another reason it might not be working is you might have this in the wrong order. You might have the bearing in the wrong place, the crown race, which is this part, inserted wrong. So always check that out first. If you just search online, you'll be able to find out exactly the order. I might save you some time and even put it on the screen. But yeah, essentially that's all it is. So then once it's back on, it's exactly like I said. I forgot this, by the way. So yes, you just put that on there. And yeah, it's pretty simple, pretty simple. So you just chuck it back in, tighten it up. I refuse to use tools until I need to, so I just kind of do it with my hands. It just seems a bit quicker in my case. And yeah, bit by bit, it all works. So like I said, this is the perfect part for me, where it spins loads and yeah, it's completely tight. So I don't want it too tight, it's just kind of how I like it. So yeah, so the next step would be put the bars back on. Normally if these are loose and they're not sounding good, you might need a spacer somewhere. So when it comes to tightening my scooter, I use the principle I've just told you of having things tight but not too tight for pretty much everything. So I used to kind of want things super loose all the time, and I kind of still don't mind that aspect of scootering. As you can see, the wheel still spins, so it's nice and fast. but yeah, it also is completely tight. So that's kind of the way that I tighten my things. But obviously everyone's got their own different preference. I fully get that. Some people want their stuff completely tight to the point where it doesn't move and can't hardly spin, but that's not really me. So with that being said, now that I've changed my wheel, all I'm going to do is tighten up the brake, which again, this is, out of everything, this is the only thing I do tighten up to the max, just because it can kind of be a pain when it's not tightened up fully, as when it's loose it's just kind of rattly, and again, it's not something that by having it loose I really gain anything except for having a noisy scooter. So yeah, so this one out of everything is the only thing that is as tight as it goes. Okay, so that's that. Now for a little drop test. We can see that it's sounding a lot better. If you've done all these things and your scooter's still sounding a bit funny, I would suggest checking the spacer size in between your bearings, and maybe on a really rare occasion your bar ends may be loose. If all else fails, maybe go to that. Also, sometimes there's like little random parts inside the scooter that move, like if you've got a piece of dirt stuck in your scooter, that could be making it sound weird, but normally that is not the case. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm glad that you've stuck around to the end. If there's anything else that you would like me to cover, let me know. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to give it a like, and with that being said, peace.